Well, folks, it's official now. It's really happening. A King of the Hill revival has been picked up by Hulu after Mike Judge and Greg Daniels revealed last year that it was in development.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
After that news dropped about a year ago, we heard very little about the potential revival, other than the fact that Fox would not be the one to pick the series back up. And now it's following in the footsteps of the upcoming Futurama revival and hitting Hulu. Here's what the Deadline article says. Hulu is laying out the welcome mat for the Hill family. The streamer is reviving King of the Hill from 20th Television Animation, with co-creators Mike Judge and Greg Daniels set to return, as well as the beloved former cast. Judge will reprise his role as Hank Hill, while Kathy Najimy will be back as his wife Peggy, Stephen Root as Bill, Pamela Adlon as Bobby Hill, Johnny Hardwick as Dale, and Lauren Tom as Min. The reboot has been in the works since the 2017 San Francisco Sketch Fest, where Judge and Daniels reconnected with the cast and celebrated the 20th anniversary of the old Fox animated show. Obviously, it would be expected that the original cast returns, though I do expect there will likely be some recasting. Toby Huss was not mentioned in the cast list, so I wouldn't be shocked if they got an Asian actor to play Khan moving forward, though I'm sure Huss will still play various other characters in the show. With Judge and Daniels returning, they're bringing in writer Saladin K. Patterson to run the writer's room. He's coming off stints running The Last OG, Dave, and the Wonder Years revival. I'm glad they've got an experienced showrunner coming in, and Dave is a really beloved comedy from the past few years, so I think Patterson could be a great fit. Plus, Patterson's comment on his new role in the revival shows a real love for the series. He said, "Yeah, man, I tell you what, man, that dang old Greg talking about OG and then Mike Judge, inspirations, man. The original show, dang old classic. Got my kids, man, walking around talking about, that's my purse, I don't know you. Feeling blessed, man. Tell you what, Feel So Good is a great song. I don't care what no dang buddy says." So, yeah, I like him. The Deadline article goes on to say the series will bring a whole new perspective to the original series, and then thanks the fans for helping make this happen. Other than this, though, the details are slim on whether the series will just be new episodes of King of the Hill set in modern day, or if the premise will feature the long-rumored age up of all the characters. Many people are saying that because they haven't recast Bobby, this likely means the show won't have an aged up cast, but I gotta disagree there. I don't see how you can have Bobby without Pamela Adlon's incredible performance, aged up or not. This aged up rumor initially came from longtime Daniels Judge collaborator Brent Forrester, who wrote and produced King of the Hill with the pair of them and went on to work on The Office and Space Force with Daniels. In a Reddit AMA, someone asked if he's heard any updates on the revival rumors, and he responded with, "I am sure Greg Daniels and Mike Judge will murder me for sharing this, but hell yes. They are in hot negotiations to bring back King of the Hill. The Trump administration made it suddenly very relevant again. The characters have all aged 15 years. The project is so good. Okay, I've said too much. Smiley face emoji." Personally, I really hope that the series goes with the aged up premise. To Sirloin with Love is such a perfect ending for King of the Hill. I really want this revival to be its own thing, so as not to ruin that poetic ending. Obviously, I want the show to continue the ideas and themes we saw in the original, but I think there's a lot you can do by aging up the characters. It's also very possible that this was initially their plan, and they struggled to get the series picked up with an aged up cast, and reverted back to the original premise. But if Judge's other series, Beavis and Butthead, is any indication, he does have interest in aged up versions of his existing characters. That show primarily focuses on the younger versions of the duo, but they also throw in these aged up episodes every so often, and honestly, the show absolutely still feels like Beavis and Butthead, so I really trust that Judge can maintain the tone and messages of King of the Hill after aging up the characters. King of the Hill has always been about Hank struggling to understand the younger generation, the one his son Bobby belongs to. He's a very repressed and conservative man, and the way the world changes makes no sense to him, often until he learns a bit more about the things that he fails to understand initially. He might not fully embrace some of these things, but he typically tends to find some kind of underlying integrity or aspect that he can respect. I think what a King of the Hill revival could do to evolve these themes is basically add an entirely new layer to this dynamic by putting Bobby in Hank's shoes. If the show ages up our characters 15 years, that will make Bobby about 28 years old and Hank in his mid-50s. What I'd really love to see would be that Bobby has to move back to Arlen after struggling with maybe a comedy career in LA or New York. This could continue the dynamic we saw back in the original run, playing up Bobby and Hank's differences, especially after living on his own in more liberal places, but also force Bobby to reckon with the younger, more tech-savvy generational talent coming up behind him. There's a lot of narrative potential there, I think, and I trust Daniels and Judge to pull it off. It does feel like they could do something really special by aging up the characters and dealing with more modern issues. And honestly, Judge's Beavis and Butthead revival might be one of the most impressive examples of a show revival without missing a single beat in terms of tone and humor. Seriously, the new series feels exactly like the original. One thing that would be a major bummer would be moving into a new era of King of the Hill without Luann or Lucky after Brittany Murphy and Tom Petty's tragic deaths. Especially Luann. That is a character I really cherish, and it kind of hurts thinking about continuing the show without her, though there might be some opportunity to weave this into the narrative. The beginning of the original series had Luann move in with the Hills after her mother stabbed her father with a fork. You could parallel that in the new series with other characters making a new new home at the Hills, even possibly Luann and Lucky's daughter Gracie. I'd love to see Gracie be a major character so we could have a spiritual connection to Luann. Another possibility is Hank's younger brother, Good Hank. Both GH and Gracie would be teenagers if they did the aged up premise. Making them focal points of the series could bring that exact dynamic to Bobby's life that I mentioned earlier. Put Bobby face to face with younger kids who confuse his sensibilities in the same way that he confused his father's in the original run. I'm also really eager to see what Hank's relationship is like with his younger brother, who is like 40 years younger than him. But I also have to mentally prepare for the series potentially just continuing business as usual and moving the family into 2023 without an age up, which is definitely the safer and possibly more likely scenario. The industry is very adverse to change these days. That's why we're getting revivals of Futurama and King of the Hill instead of new animated series. I was really excited about Judge and Daniel's new animation studio, Bandera. Their plans to change the landscape of adult animation was really exciting. Unfortunately, their first series in production, Bad Crimes by Nicole Byer and Lauren Lapkus, was canceled by Netflix mid-production. God, animation is a disaster right now. Inside Job got picked up for a third set of episodes, then got canceled. Pantheon was the best new show last year, and they literally finished season 2, and AMC is burying it and writing it off for tax purposes. Tuca and Birdie got canned again. There have just been cancellations and tax write-offs left and right. God, I am so depressed. Hopefully, King of the Hill does well and Bandera comes back strong with some new series. They talked a lot about expanding animation into new tones and styles and genres, and that is exactly what the medium needs. Hopefully, the damn suits will let it happen. Okay, tangent over. For now. I do think the show would still work, and I would remain optimistic, but it would also definitely make the absence of Luann and Lucky more difficult to address, and however they do it, it's probably going to break my heart. But that's kind of par for the course with Luann stories. If they kill her off, I'm going to cry. If they make her move away, I'm going to cry. If she gets sent to prison like her mom did, I'm going to cry. If they recast her, I'm going to cry. Overall, I am both cautiously optimistic and pretty excited about a King of the Hill revival. Even though I wish the animation industry was heading in a direction that was celebrating new IP, they are bringing back some of my favorites, and I do trust Judge to deliver something that matches the spirit of the original, especially after Beavis and Butthead. But man, I am also nervous. We're looking at brand new episodes of Futurama sometime this summer, and I don't know if I'll be able to take it if I don't like the new stuff. You might get videos from a very broken man. We'll see how it goes. But please let me know below what you think about the King of the Hill returning to our TV screens. Would you prefer to see the aged up premise like was teased the last few years, or just a normal continuation set after To Sirloin with Love? Let me know below in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Johnny to Cellos.